What's going on, people? It is Irish Gunner HD here. You can call me Irish, and today you're going to be watching some TDM on Operation Riverside. So, before we get started, I'm just going to say that yes, I realize I'm posting a lot of TDM lately, but that's just because obviously with the switch to PC comes a lot of kind of getting used to it, if you know what I mean. There's a lot of, like, for me at the minute, there's a lot of key fumbling on the keyboard. My aim is pretty much alright, because I kind of get how Battlefield works with, like, the recoil. I know what weapons recoil what way, but it's mostly just the keyboard side of things. I don't have a gaming mouse. I've got, like, a regular, like, left click, right click, and scroll wheel kind of key, or kind of mouse, and basically I have to do everything else on my keyboard, so it's just kind of, you'll probably see me fumbling about with the keys, trying to find out what's what. But today's video is twofold. First off, I want to talk about like the kind of Battlefield 4 news that's been out, because my channel has been very slow and I haven't. I've given the reasons for that. But I wanted to give it a reason, or sorry, I want to give my opinions on the Battlefield news that we've got going so far. So, if you're unfamiliar for some reason, which I'm assuming you all are familiar with, the Battlefield 4 release trailer came out the day before yesterday, I believe, and it looked beyond ridiculous. I'm not gonna lie, it didn't look like. See, in my head, I was kind of thinking like slightly better graphics, and I know that's like kind of asking a lot, but for some reason, I just assumed that next generation graphics were gonna be like insane, new, and believable. But nevertheless, the graphics on this demo, the gameplay trailer that was released, are exceptional, like absolutely exceptional. Like nothing that we've ever seen before, as far as like an actual gameplay kind of thing goes. Keep in mind, we're only seeing the single player here, so the single player graphics, as far as I'm aware, are usually slightly above, if not, like, if they're not equal to the multiplayer graphics, they are slightly above the multiplayer graphics, because there's a lot more going on in multiplayer that the kind of platform has to deal with, whether it's like PlayStation or Xbox or PC. Where it comes to multiplayer, they have to handle all kind of netcode and stuff like that going on. Whereas single player, just kind of, it's the experience where you're just like, okay, I'm engrossed in this and it's gonna be awesome. So don't be surprised if some of the like the explosions and stuff like that we've seen in the single player, don't be surprised if they're kind of toned down in the multiplayer. But some of the things that we've seen, right, so I'll get into it really quickly. Some of the things that we've seen, that people are talking about, suppression. Okay, so it's been covered already, and like people kind of know by now. There was no suppression in the trailer, which is like, people were getting up in arms about and just been like, yes, no suppression, that's amazing, there's going to be no suppression in Battlefield 4. Okay, first of all, I will like preface this by saying that I like suppression. I do like it as a mechanic. As it's implemented in Battlefield right now, I do not like. I'm happy with a blurred screen. It does mimic reality and they have a great idea there, but the way they implement it isn't ideal. So, in my perfect world, your screen would blur a little bit, maybe a second or so, maybe a second half, 2 seconds, because when you're working with things like this, it's very kind of incremental. There's no like, oh, it's either 1 second or it's 5 seconds. There's like quarter second, half a second, 3/4 of a second, 1 second, and so on, so on, so on. So I would think for something like suppression, maybe a second, second and a half, 2 seconds maximum of screen blurriness. But don't mess around with the weapon's accuracy. Like, that's just a complete no. Don't like touch any of that. But from what we're seeing so far of the single player, there's going to be no suppression effects in single player like there was in Battlefield 3. Remember, if you don't remember the single player of Battlefield 3, there was basically no suppression in that either. So just because there's no suppression in the trailer that we've seen, don't just take that as like the Bible that there's, or as the gospel that there's going to be no suppression in the multiplayer, because that's not the way it's worked so far with Battlefield as far as suppression is concerned. So, other things that we've seen was the sights, the dual kind of sights thing, which is amazing. It's awesome. Like, it's just kind of innovating something that we already had. It's like, yeah, you can already get hundreds of sights, or obviously not hundreds literally, but like, you can already get loads of sights, but now you've got the option to flip between what it looked like iron sights and like a maybe a 3.4 or an ACOG scope or something like that. That's all well and good. But what I'm curious to see is, could we replace those iron sights with something like an ACOG, or not an ACOG, sorry, a Cobra sight, or like a reflex sight or holographic, something that's like, could we replace the stock sights that we seen in the single player trailer? Could we replace that with like a Cobra and still keep like a 4x scope? You know, that kind of way. I'm sure you get what I mean. But that was definitely cool. The graphics again looked insane. The actual gameplay that they used, that mission, if that, like, whatever mission that is, I'm very much so looking forward to it. They seem to be going a really good way with the gameplay as far as multiplayer or single player goes. It's looking really enjoyable. I really can't wait. That scene where he kind of hangs out of the car and like shoots at the chopper and everything slows down, that was really good. Like, and I don't think anyone will deny that. But what would be next? So the weapons that people are seeing. So people are generally assuming that the weapon that's being used is an M16. People have pointed out that there's the AEK, and like, this shouldn't be news. This shouldn't be anything surprising. Like the AEK, people forget the AEK was in Bad Company too, so it shouldn't be a big surprise that it's back. I mean, it's a very good gun. Obviously, people consider it overpowered in Battlefield 3, but it's a very good gun. There's no reason that they should take it out. And as far as the new weapon choices, as far as the new sorry, not weapon choices, factions go, people are surprised, and maybe not surprised is the right word, but they seem to be taken aback by the fact that China is a faction. But you remember, all the QB weapons, or the QBB, or the QBU, any of them kind of weapons from DLCs that came with Battlefield 3, they're all Chinese made weapons. So maybe that was a hint at things to come. I'm not sure. Like, I don't want to over speculate, but yeah, like all the QBU 95B, all the QBZ 95B, sorry, the QBU 88, the QBB machine gun, they're all Chinese made weapons. So like, it wasn't a particular surprise to me to see China as a faction. What else did we see? The spotting mechanic was actually pretty cool. The way you have to do the arm gesture to be like, yeah, this guy's over there, and it takes your hand off your weapon so you can't fire while you're spotting. That's kind of interesting, because I'm someone that literally just spams the spot button. Like, I spam the spot button like to no end. And to have to be able to now make that choice between, do I want to spam the spot button, or do I want to be ready for any oncoming enemies? That's going to be a choice that I'm going to have to make from now on, which is particularly interesting. But what you're seeing here on the screen, my first ever knife. That was my first ever PC knife. So yeah, it was pretty cool. I literally managed to hit the G button, because I flipped around G and F for knife and grenade. But yeah, that was my first ever PC knife kill. So sorry, dude, if you're watching for some reason, but you were my first knife kill, which is awesome. But what else was there? The music was quite similar. I'm a musician, if you didn't know, so I paid quite a lot of attention to the music. So like the trailer music was quite similar to the Battlefield music, or the Battlefield 3 music. I'm trying to think what else was there that I might have missed. I'm sure there's something that I've missed, because like, it's like Saturday night and I'm tired. But if there's anything that I missed, I do apologize. I will cover it in another video. But I think I've touched on the main points. The spotting, yeah, the graphics looking insane. Yeah, basically, yeah. So it's looking awesome overall. But there was another thing that I wanted to touch on, which was that I went in to pre-order the game today, and I wasn't trying to get a scoop or get a news feed or anything like that, but I didn't have any money on me, and I asked the guy in the game store today. I said, "What? I'm looking at pre-ordering Battlefield 4," and he said, "Yeah, that's fine." And I said, "Well, what date do you know if that comes out on?" And I wasn't even thinking about the fact that it hasn't been released. But he answered me, and he said he looked on his computer, and he said it says on here the end of November. So is that breaking news? I don't know. Like, should I be doing a breaking news alert here? End of November, in Ireland at the very least, we should be looking at Battlefield 4's release. That's pretty cool. So yeah, I don't know how much more to say about that other than keep an eye out on the end at the end of November. It shouldn't be too much break, like it shouldn't be too fascinating because like games are always out around November-ish, so it shouldn't be too much of a big deal. But I haven't seen anywhere kind of confirmed, anywhere that's kind of confirmed the date as far as like Battlefield 4's release is concerned. But yeah, that's that. The last thing that I wanted to touch on in this video was Activision's recent thing that they did where they showed off the face rendering in real time. And as much as I was blown away by this, you need to keep in mind that, yeah, it looks insane, but that's one face. Like, that's just one detail. Yeah, they can do it with one face and like one singular detail, but I'm not so certain that they can make that happen, those kind of details happen, in the context of an actual game, where everything else is going on, all the story mode, all the rest, like that was only a head and a face. They have to take into account the rest of the body, the clothing, the equipment, the weapons, the level, the map, the amount of map design and level kind of detail and stuff like that. I don't think we're gonna see anything like that anytime soon. So that Activision's face demo thing, I wouldn't read too much into it right now, because it looked unbelievably realistic. Don't get me wrong, it looked almost scarily real. I was thinking, when I was watching that, I was thinking, well, is it gonna get to the stage where we are literally scared of playing these games because it looks so real and we don't want to be shooting real people? But again, scale it back and realize that yes, while it looks amazing, you also have to take into account the fact that they have to run the maps and the weapons and the vehicles and whatever else they implement into that too. And not just that, like they have to have multiple versions of those faces running, and technology I don't think is at that stage yet. So while it is an amazing kind of pointer towards the future, I don't think it's something to get too worked up about now. Yes, get excited because the future is headed in a good place, but as far as that goes, it's nothing worth going completely crazy about for now. But that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed, please do leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new here. Thanks for watching the video, and goodbye.